Well. The Democrats threatened the Supreme Court. They want them to reject the Second Amendment or face court packing, like FDR did during the 30s. Yep. The Democrats fundamentally restructured the nation's higher court. Shocking threat to judicial independence not seen since the 1930s. Though Congress sets the number of seats on every federal court, including the Supreme Court, by statute, the number of seats on the Supreme Court has stayed constant at 9 judges for over a century, since the 1800s. The only serious attempt to change that number happened in 1930. President Franklin Roosevelt became frustrated when the Supreme Court struck down major parts of his deal in 1934, 1935, and 1936. Roosevelt threatened to expand the court by 6 seats to a total of 15 so he could get the rulings that he wanted. American people balked at that idea. But he appointed a couple liberal justices, and he threatened and scared the heck out of the other 2 who were frightened by his threats and failed to realize the American people were rejecting those threats. But leading the jurors back in 1937 to reverse their previous rulings, the court consequently took a huge step to the left, massively expanding federal power through the Constitution's Commerce Clause and Spending Clause. That's where they goofed up. They're not going by the Constitution and the original intent of the Constitution. The Commerce Clause was a power given to Congress to regulate commerce among the states. It was meant primarily to restrain states' power to ensure a free flow of goods and services among the states. Congress was given, regulation to regulate commerce, to make it regular. That way the states couldn't add taxes and tariffs on everything going through the state. But the limitations are reinforced by the Necessary and Proper Clause, which also limits the means available to Congress to those that are only necessary for erecting those powers, for exercising those powers, the enumerated powers. But then, people didn't know much about old FDR. He was a conniver. Oh yeah. Yeah, telling the Supreme Court to do as we say or we'll break you doesn't show any sign of respect for the law. Democrats do not respect the Bill of Rights nor the Constitution of the United States because they are socialist dictators who want to dictate to you how you live and what you would do or face the communist purge in the KBG. It's no coincidence that FDR, a progressive Democrat, was the last one to try to politicize the Supreme Court to this extent. He operated as a dictator. He was widely admired by the European fascists, and he adored those men in return. If he had his way, people, we would have joined the Axis. Make no mistake about it. It was only the American people and the Republicans that were pushing us to aid the Allies to our long-standing ties to the British and the other fellow Anglos. Yep. The Supreme Court is supposed to be about the Constitution and the law, not political. We've known for a long time it's political. Now the Democrats are openly saying it. Well, here's something else, people. And it bothers me because I see where this is going. In 1934, they passed a firearm law to restrict, the gangster-style things back in 1934. They put it under the Internal Revenue Clause. 1938 come along, and he got a nice little thing going with that because he wanted to register all the guns then. Because he got that from Hitler, his old buddy Hitler. In 1935, Hitler started registering guns, make sure that the Jews and other undesirables wouldn't have any. And did you people also know that, after, before the Civil War and after, up until, the 30s and 40s, even the 60s, they were limiting firearms among the blacks. Why? Well, what do slaves do if they get firearms? They're no longer slaves. They want to revolt. That's why they want to take our guns, because they know damn well this country will revolt against any kind of United Nations world order shingdings. We're not going to follow that route. But in 1938, when they passed that law, then he started that same thing that Hitler did, and now all your guns is registered. If you want to find out the people who have the guns, you just go to the things, you get who registered that gun, and bingo, you got their name, address, serial number, and a new place for them to go to make license plates. Oh, good Lord. Old what's his name? Rand Paul. Yeah. The United Nations is an organization that was created by communists and can only bring about communist-style one-world government. Alger Hess, convicted as being a communist spy and a communist from Russia, wrote that charter. Being a member of that organization, adopting the treaties, or destroying our Constitution and our Bill of Rights. Our founding fathers said we should never get entangled in other alliances with European powers because of their intrigue to rule the world. They are anti-God, anti-Christ, an anti-American group of communist countries, and we're sponsoring terrorism by going through these idiots. I wrote something many years ago, actually in 1993, and I had it printed in the Alliance Review in 2002. Yep. But it says, many men, past and the future, have strived to obtain world dominance. History has taught us to watch out for the hidden agenda and watch the house so we aren't caught off guard. That awareness has caused would-be rulers to use greater caution and stealth in their endeavors to seek power. The United States, however, was given a Trojan horse called the United Nations. It was presented by rich, powerful men in the guise of peace. One of its purpose is to promote laws and treaties that will make us submissive. With such laws, you can then manipulate people without undue protest. In this way, you can also achieve power and control in a quiet and sullen manner without ever having to fire a shot. See, that's what they want. If we had an invasion, people, we would be up in arms and fight it off. But if you bring something in slow and feed it to the people slow over time, they're going to swallow it. Like that frog, you throw a frog into a pan of hot water and he'll immediately jump out. But put the same frog in a thing of cold water, heat it up gradually, and his ass is cooked. Yes, sir. World government, people. This was, oh God, that was in 93. A world effectively controlled by the United Nations is one which a world government would come about through establishment of, yep. I want you to see this. Cronkite wants world government. You think he don't? Oh, yeah. He's a popular newscaster. Walter Cronkite, speaking before the United Nations, recently called for the international body to become a world government and for the United States to surrender its national sovereignty. First Lady Hillary Clinton stood by, hailing his remarks. Cronkite delivered a speech before the World Federation Association where he received the Norman Cousins Global Governance Award. The WFA met in the United Nations on October 19th. This was 1999. This is precisely what international groups such as Bilderberg and the brother group, the Trilateral Commission, have been advocating for years. To do that, of course, we Americans will have to surrender some of our sovereignty. It will take a lot of courage, a lot of faith in the new order. Okay? Anyway, after he gets and he says all this stuff, the UN needs more money and they need a standing army. Yeah. Oh, Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton, like the president, she is a Bilderberg member, lavish praise on Cronkite for his speech. Thank you, Walter. Thank you for the inspiring to all of us to build a more peaceful and just world. That's the kind of people you're dealing with. Now, as far as the Democrats, what they want, you gotta remember, all veterans are mentally ill in some way, and the government should prevent them from owning guns. Read my lips, son. New World Order. The education of W. Buchanan wanted to kick out the United Nations. Here's another good old Democrat. He smuggles gun to Mexico and then he blames the Second Amendment. Ha ha ha! Ain't he a sweetheart? Nope. Wake up, people. They don't want you to revolt in any way and fight the New World Order. They want you to surrender your firearms. And they're going to use any doggone means, people, to try and get them. It's up to you. It's your country. And when you got people like, well, what gets me about the Democrats, okay? They're not American. What they are, their loyalty, their hearts and minds belong to the socialist movement. If they want a country like Russia or China, they should move there and live happily ever after. But they think that they can get by with doing it here. And when you get the rich people like Roosevelt and all those other people, shit, brain dead. You know what I'm talking about. They want this stuff. They think that, oh boy, things are going to be good. But it's just like, what was his name? Ted Turner and the other guy. And they delivered all this money to the United Nations, you know, to support them, you know. They're doing this because eventually the music's going to stop. And they all want to have a chair when that music stops. That's why they're doing this. Now they're running out of time and they know it. And they got to push this stuff through. And they're going to use any doggone thing whatsoever. I mean, look what Bush gave us. Bush gave us 9/11. You know, remote-controlled planes crashing into a thing. And then one guy's passport found 3 or 4 different places. It don't even make sense. And then they get rid of the evidence. And then what they do is send all this money to the Defense Department. And these are the same people. They get $40 billion a year, and they can't even protect the Pentagon. Does that make sense to you? They're warmongers. They got nothing better to do. But it's funny that they hit the department that had all the information on all that money that was missing. I think about $3 or $4 billion worth of stuff missing, or maybe more. But it just happened to hit that. And it didn't look like no plane. It looked like a rocket, a missile. We're not stupid. And you can't use the anthrax scare to scare the poor congressman anymore into voting for your damn Patriot Act and all this other shit. How stupid do you think we are? We're not dumb. Okay, guys, anyway, they want your guns. They want your guns because they don't want you to be able to have the means to revolt. So buy all the guns you can, buy all the ammunition you can, and when somebody says, well, you got to comply to this law, give them the finger. Tell them Fuzzy sent you.